Kang nodded. Beauty and cruelty often exist side by side. The remaining Concordium defense fleet had positioned itself between the humans and their homeworld, a final line of protection. But even the Concordium leaders could see the truth. They were outnumbered and outmatched. "We're receiving a transmission," reported Lieutenant Oda Bin from her communication station. "It's from the Concordium High Council." "Put it through," Kang ordered. The view screen changed to show an alien face. The Concordium physically resembled tall, slender humanoids with iridescent skin and large, multifaceted eyes. This one wore elaborate silver robes that marked it as a high official. "I am Supreme Counselor Czar of the Concordium Alliance," the alien said, its words translated by the ship's computer. "We request terms for your withdrawal from our system." Admiral Kang's expression hardened. "You destroyed our colony without warning or provocation. You killed 2 million humans. And now you expect us to simply leave." The alien's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. "The human settlement was eliminated according to our evolutionary protection protocols. Your species represents an aberrant developmental path that threatens cosmic harmony." Ji-Woo stepped forward, unable to contain her anger. "You murdered millions because we don't fit your model of how life should evolve." "Your emotional response proves our assessment," Czar replied. "Rational species accept the natural order." Admiral Kang held up his hand, silencing Ji-Woo's reply. "We have studied your civilization during our journey here," he said calmly. "We have captured your outposts, decoded your communications, and learned much about your philosophy." He nodded to Captain Yang, who transmitted a data package to the Concordium. "This contains evidence that your evolutionary models are flawed. Humans evolved naturally, following universal principles your scientists failed to account for." The Concordium leader studied something off-screen, its expression unreadable to human eyes. When it looked back, there was a subtle change in its posture. "This information requires further study," Czar said. "We request time to analyze your data." "You have 1 hour," Kang replied. "Then I will give you our terms." As the communication ended, Ji-Woo turned to Kang. "What are you planning? I thought we came here to destroy them, as they destroyed Nuterra." Kang walked to the tactical display, where the Concordium homeworld rotated slowly. "Revenge is easy," he said. "But what comes after? If we annihilate their civilization, we become what they believed us to be. Violent aberrations that destroy what we don't understand." Captain Yang joined them. "The fleet is in position, Admiral. Weapons are locked on their major cities and defense installations. We await your order." "Prepare a landing team," Kang instructed. "Commander Park will lead it. I want representatives from science, linguistics, and military divisions." Ji-Woo looked surprised. "A landing team? You want to go to the surface?" "Not me," Kang replied. "You. No one knows the Concordium better than you do now. No one has more right to present our terms." 1 hour later, Ji-Woo found herself aboard a diplomatic shuttle descending toward the Concordium capital city. With her were 5 specialists, including Lieutenant Choi Min-soo, who had deciphered the Concordium language. "They're guiding us to their council hall," reported the pilot as they entered the atmosphere. Ji-Woo looked out the viewport at the alien city below. It was beautiful in its geometrical precision. Buildings arranged in perfect spirals around a central structure that rose like a crystal spire into the sky. "Remember," she told her team, "we represent all of humanity now. What happens here will shape interstellar relations for generations." The shuttle landed on a platform near the central spire. A delegation of Concordium officials waited for them, led by Supreme Counselor Czar. Ji-Woo felt a surge of anger as she stepped onto alien soil, remembering the images of Nuterra burning. But she kept her expression neutral as she approached. "Welcome to Axion Prime," Czar said. "Your presence here is unprecedented." "As was your attack on Nuterra," Ji-Woo replied. "Let's not waste time with pleasantries. Concentrate all forward batteries," she ordered. "Target their bridge section." The swift Retribution's main guns fired in unison, the energy beams combining into a single devastating strike that cut through the enemy ship's weakened defenses. The Concordium vessel's bridge exploded outward, atmosphere and debris spilling into space. But the victory came at a cost. A Concordium battleship targeted the swift Retribution, its superior weapons tearing through the cruiser's shields. Warning alarms blared across the bridge as systems failed. "Hull breach on decks 3 through 7, reported Yoon's first officer. "We're losing power to the engines." Yoon quickly assessed their situation. The cruiser wouldn't survive much longer under this assault, but they could still serve a purpose. "All hands to escape pods," she ordered. "Set the reactor to overload and pilot controls to automatic. We're going to ram that battleship." As the crew evacuated, Yoon programmed a collision course with the Concordium vessel that had damaged them. She was the last to leave the bridge, pausing only to look once more at the ship she had commanded for 5 years. The swift Retribution's engines burned with their last energy, driving the crippled cruiser directly into the side of the Concordium battleship. Both vessels vanished in a blinding explosion as the human ship's reactor detonated. From the Vengeance, Admiral Kang watched the battle unfold with a mixture of pride and sorrow. Thousands of human ships had already been destroyed, but they were achieving their objective. The once perfect Concordium formation was now in disarray. "They're breaking into smaller groups," Ji-woo said, pointing to the tactical display. "They've never faced an enemy willing to sacrifice so many ships." "Signal all dreadnoughts," Kang ordered. "Move in and target their flagship cluster." The largest human warships, which had held back until now, moved ponderously forward. Their massive gun batteries opened fire, each shot powerful enough to cripple even the largest Concordium vessels. The battle raged for another 6 hours. Human ships continued to employ unpredictable tactics that the Concordium struggled to counter. Though the aliens' technology was superior, they couldn't adapt quickly enough to the human approach to warfare. By the time Admiral Kang called a halt to the attack, nearly 15,000 human ships had been destroyed or disabled. But the Concordium fleet was in ruins. Over 4,000 of their vessels had been destroyed, with the remainder retreating toward their home systems. "They're running," Captain Yang announced, not bothering to hide her satisfaction. "Let them go," Kang replied. "Let them tell their leaders what happened here." The human fleet regrouped, rescue ships moving to pick up survivors from damaged vessels. The losses had been heavy, but they had won their first major battle against the Concordium alliance. In his damaged fighter, Jun-ho drifted among the debris of battle, waiting for rescue. Half his squadron was gone, but they had contributed to a historic victory. As he looked out at the wreckage of Concordium ships, he thought of his sister and the millions who had died on New Terra. "We did it," he whispered. "The first step." On the Vengeance, Commander Ji-woo analyzed intercepted Concordium communications. "Their leadership is in panic," she told Admiral Kang. "They never imagined we could defeat their main fleet." Kang nodded slowly. "Then it's time for the final phase. Set course for Axiom Prime, the Concordium homeworld." As the battered but victorious human fleet prepared to continue their journey, a message arrived from Earth. The Terran Defense Council had received news of the battle and sent a simple response: "Humanity stands with you. Finish what you started." Retriaction Prime hung in space like a blue jewel, the homeworld of the Concordium Alliance and center of their civilization for over 10,000 years. Its rings of orbital cities glittered in the light of the system's yellow sun, home to billions of the alien species. From the observation deck of the TDF Vengeance, Admiral Kang Ta-won and Commander Park Ji-woo watched as the planet grew larger on the main view screen. The human fleet had arrived at the heart of Concordium territory, 500,000 ships strong despite the losses suffered in battle. "So beautiful," Ji-woo said quietly. "Hard to believe the order to destroy New Terra came from there." "Concentrate all forward batteries," she ordered. "Target their bridge section." The swift Retribution's main guns fired in unison, the energy beams combining into a single devastating strike that cut through the enemy ship's weakened defenses. The Concordium vessel's bridge exploded outward, atmosphere and debris spilling into space. But the victory came at a cost. A Concordium battleship targeted the swift Retribution, its superior weapons tearing through the cruiser's shields. Warning alarms blared across the bridge as systems failed. "Hull breach on decks 3 through 7, reported Yoon's first officer. "We're losing power to the engines." Yoon quickly assessed their situation. The cruiser wouldn't survive much longer under this assault, but they could still serve a purpose. "All hands to escape pods," she ordered. "Set the reactor to overload and pilot controls to automatic. We're going to ram that battleship." As the crew evacuated, Yoon programmed a collision course with the Concordium vessel that had damaged them. She was the last to leave the bridge, pausing only to look once more at the ship she had commanded for 5 years. The swift Retribution's engines burned with their last energy, driving the crippled cruiser directly into the side of the Concordium battleship. Both vessels vanished in a blinding explosion as the human ship's reactor detonated. From the Vengeance, Admiral Kang watched the battle unfold with a mixture of pride and sorrow. Thousands of human ships had already been destroyed, but they were achieving their objective. The once perfect Concordium formation was now in disarray. "They're breaking into smaller groups," Ji-woo said, pointing to the tactical display. "They've never faced an enemy willing to sacrifice so many ships." "Signal all dreadnoughts," Kang ordered. "Move in and target their flagship cluster." The largest human warships, which had held back until now, moved ponderously forward. Their massive gun batteries opened fire, each shot powerful enough to cripple even the largest Concordium vessels. The battle raged for another 6 hours. Human ships continued to employ unpredictable tactics that the Concordium struggled to counter. Though the aliens' technology was superior, they couldn't adapt quickly enough to the human approach to warfare. By the time Admiral Kang called a halt to the attack, nearly 15,000 human ships had been destroyed or disabled. But the Concordium fleet was in ruins. Over 4,000 of their vessels had been destroyed, with the remainder retreating toward their home systems. "They're running," Captain Yang announced, not bothering to hide her satisfaction. "Let them go," Kang replied. "Let them tell their leaders what happened here." The human fleet regrouped, rescue ships moving to pick up survivors from damaged vessels. The losses had been heavy, but they had won their first major battle against the Concordium alliance. In his damaged fighter, Jun-ho drifted among the debris of battle, waiting for rescue. Half his squadron was gone, but they had contributed to a historic victory. As he looked out at the wreckage of Concordium ships, he thought of his sister and the millions who had died on Nutera. "We did it," he whispered. "The first step." On the Vengeance, Commander Ji-woo analyzed intercepted Concordium communications. "Their leadership is in panic," she told Admiral Kang. "They never imagined we could defeat their main fleet." Kang nodded slowly. "Then it's time for the final phase. Set course for Axiom Prime, the Concordium homeworld." As the battered but victorious human fleet prepared to continue their journey, a message arrived from Earth. The Terran Defense Council had received news of the battle and sent a simple response: "Humanity stands with you. Finish what you started." Retriaction Prime hung in space like a blue jewel, the homeworld of the Concordium Alliance and center of their civilization for over 10,000 years. Its rings of orbital cities glittered in the light of the system's yellow sun, home to billions of the alien species. From the observation deck of the TDF Vengeance, Admiral Kang Ta-won and Commander Park Ji-woo watched as the planet grew larger on the main view screen. The human fleet had arrived at the heart of Concordium territory, 500,000 ships strong despite the losses suffered in battle. "So beautiful," Ji-woo said quietly. "Hard to believe the order to destroy Nutera came from there." Captain Yang Minji approached with the latest sensor readings. "Their fleet outguns our vanguard, but they're vastly outnumbered by our total forces." Kang's face remained impassive, but his eyes narrowed slightly as he considered their options. The human fleet had emerged from hyperspace at a safe distance, too far for the Concordium to attack immediately. This gave them time to organize their forces according to the battle plan they had spent weeks refining. "Begin deployment," he ordered. Pattern rain of fire. Throughout the massive human armada, ships moved into position. The smallest and fastest vessels formed the first wave, 50,000 attack craft that would strike first. Behind them, medium cruisers and destroyers formed the second wave. The largest dreadnoughts and battleships, including the Vengeance, remained in reserve. On the bridge of his fighter squadron leader, pilot Shin Jun-ho checked his systems one final time. His hands moved calmly over the controls despite the pounding of his heart. He had joined Earth's defense forces after his sister died in the attack on New Terra. "Red Squadron, all systems green," he reported over the comm. Similar reports came in from thousands of squadron leaders across the fleet. The attack force was ready. Admiral Kang's voice reached every ship in the human fleet. "All vessels, commence attack. For Earth and New Terra." Engines flared across the vastness of space as 50,000 small craft accelerated toward the Concordium position. Jun-ho felt the G-forces press him back into his seat as his fighter surged forward. "Remember the plan," he told his squadron. "Random approach vectors. Don't give their targeting systems a pattern to lock onto." The human fighters approached in what appeared to be chaos. No neat formations, no predictable lines of attack. Each pilot followed their own course, making sudden changes in speed and direction. The Concordium responded with precise, coordinated fire. Beams of energy lanced out from their ships, catching human vessels and vaporizing them instantly. But for every fighter destroyed, 5 more continued forward, weaving and dodging in ways that confused the aliens' targeting computers. "They're adapting," Ji-woo observed on the Vengeance, watching the tactical display. "Their outer ring is shifting formation to create overlapping fields of fire." Kang nodded. "Just as we expected. Signal the second phase." As the fighter assault drew the Concordium's attention, 1,000 human destroyers had been moving stealthily into position. Now they revealed themselves, unleashing a massive missile barrage at the enemy fleet's flanks. The Concordium shields flared bright as they absorbed the initial hits, but the sheer volume of missiles overwhelmed their defenses. Explosions bloomed across their formation as ships began to take damage. On the front lines, Jun-ho saw an opening in the enemy's defenses where a destroyer had lost power to its shield generators. "Red Squadron, follow me," he ordered, diving his fighter toward the vulnerable ship. His squadron fell in behind him, 12 small craft against a vessel 100 times their size. The Concordium destroyer fired desperately at the approaching fighters, but Jun-ho's unpredictable course made him nearly impossible to hit. He targeted the ship's main weapon emplacements, his laser cannons burning through the exposed hull plating. The rest of Red Squadron focused their fire on the same spots, creating deeper and deeper wounds in the alien vessel. Similar scenes played out across the battlefield as human fighters swarmed around damaged Concordium ships like insects attacking larger creatures. What they lacked in individual power, they made up for in numbers and determination. "Their formation is breaking up," Ji-woo reported, unable to hide the satisfaction in her voice. "They're trying to regroup." Admiral Kang turned to his communications officer. "Signal the cruiser divisions. Move in now." The medium ships of the human fleet, which had been holding back during the initial assault, now surged forward. They targeted Concordium vessels that had already been damaged by fighters and missiles, finishing what the smaller craft had started. On the bridge of the cruiser Swift Retribution, Captain Yoon Hae-yun coordinated her battle group's attack on a Concordium command ship. Her vessel shuddered as enemy fire struck its shields, but she remained focused on her target. With Do-hyun and Soo-jin, Ji-woo made her way to the emergency shuttle bay. Around them, other station personnel were doing the same, faces grim with the knowledge that they were abandoning their posts. "What about the colonists still on the surface?" Soo-jin asked as they strapped into the small shuttle. "We can't help them from a destroyed station," Ji-woo said, though the words tasted bitter. We need survivors to warn Earth. Their shuttle, along with 5 others, launched from the dying station. As they accelerated away from Newterra, Jiwoo looked back at the planet that had been her home. Fires spread across the surface of Hope City, visible even from space. The alien ships continued their methodical destruction, targeting infrastructure and population centers with equal precision. Set course for the emergency rendezvous point, Jiwoo ordered. It was a small mining outpost on the edge of the system, hopefully too insignificant for the aliens to bother with. Of the 6 shuttles that escaped, only 3 reached the rendezvous point. There they found a handful of civilian transport ships that had managed to escape the planet as well. Together, they numbered fewer than 500 survivors from a colony of 2 million. A week later, the small group of survivors gathered on the bridge of the largest ship, the cargo vessel Pathfinder. Through their long-range sensors, they watched as the alien fleet finished their work and departed Newterra as suddenly as they had arrived. The planet still existed, but all signs of human habitation had been systematically erased. Cities, farms, mines, all destroyed with chilling efficiency. Why? Sujin asked, her voice breaking. Why would they do this? We never threatened them. We never even knew they existed. Jiwoo had no answer. But as she studied the data they had gathered during the attack, she was determined to find one. And she was equally determined that the aliens would pay for what they had done. Set course for Earth, she ordered. Maximum speed. We need to warn them before this happens again. As the small fleet of survivors jumped into hyperspace, Jiwoo made a silent promise to the 2 million dead they left behind. Earth would know what happened here, and Earth would respond. The emergency message from Newterra took 17 days to reach Earth. When it finally arrived, it was received by a small monitoring station on Luna. The technician on duty, Han Jamin, almost missed it among the routine communications traffic, but something about the urgency prefix caught his attention. Jamin's eyes widened as he played the recording from Commander Park Jiwoo. The attached data showed clear images of the attack, alien ships destroying an entire colony without warning or mercy. Control, this is Luna Station, Jamin said, his voice shaking. I need to speak to someone in the Terran Defense Council immediately. Priority Alpha. Within 2 hours, the 7 members of the Defense Council gathered in their secure meeting chamber beneath the city of Seoul. The room was carved deep into bedrock, designed to survive even if the city above was destroyed. It was a relic of humanity's more paranoid age, but now that paranoia seemed justified. Play it again, ordered Council Chairperson Oh My-kyung, a stern woman whose silver hair was pulled back in a tight bun. The message played on the large screen that dominated one wall of the chamber. The council members watched in silence as the recording showed the systematic destruction of humanity's most distant colony. 2 million dead, said Councillor Song Tae-ho, breaking the silence that followed, without warning or provocation. Admiral Kang Ta-won, the oldest member of the council, leaned forward. This is exactly the scenario I've been warning about for 30 years, he said. His voice was quiet but carried a weight of vindication and sorrow. An advanced civilization that sees us as threats or resources rather than equals. The question is what we do now, said Councillor Lee Jun-seo. Newterra was 20 light years away. Even if we wanted to respond, what can we do? Admiral Kang exchanged glances with Chairperson Oh. A silent communication passed between them. It's time to activate Protocol Omega, Kang said. The other council members shifted in their seats. Protocol Omega wasn't a theory or a plan. It was a reality that only 3 of them had been fully briefed on. Explain for those who don't have full clearance, Oh directed. Admiral Kang stood and walked to the screen. For 50 years, while publicly pursuing peaceful space exploration and colonization, Earth has been secretly building a military force unlike anything in human history. He touched the screen, bringing up a map of the solar system. Points of light began to appear throughout, on moons, asteroids, hidden orbital facilities. The sky above New Terra was clear and beautiful that morning. Commander Park Ji-woo stood at her post on Defense Station Alpha, watching the sunlight glint off the buildings of Hope City below. After 15 years of hard work, the colony had grown from a handful of prefabricated structures to a thriving metropolis of 2 million people. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" said Officer Ba Soo-jin, stepping up beside her. Ji-woo nodded. "Days like this remind me why we came all this way." New Terra had been humanity's most ambitious project, a planet with Earth-like conditions located 20 light-years from home. The first colonists had arrived 30 years ago, and Ji-woo had been part of the third wave of settlers. She still remembered her first glimpse of the planet, how its blue-green surface had reminded her of old pictures of Earth before the climate changes. The peaceful moment was shattered by a sudden blaring alarm. Ji-woo rushed to the monitoring station, where Officer Kim Do-hyun was staring at his screen in disbelief. "Multiple objects appearing at the edge of our system," Do-hyun reported, his voice tense. "Hundreds of them. No, thousands." Ji-woo leaned over his shoulder to look at the screen. This couldn't be a scheduled arrival. All human ships logged their jumps weeks in advance. "First contact," she whispered. The objects moved with purpose, forming into tight formations as they accelerated toward New Terra. There was no doubt now. These were ships. Alien ships. "Send the first contact greeting packet on all frequencies," Ji-woo ordered. Humanity had prepared for this moment for generations. "And alert all defense platforms, just in case." Soo-jin worked quickly at her console. Message sent. No response. The alien fleet continued its approach, silent and purposeful. Ji-woo felt a growing knot of dread in her stomach. The colony's defenses were designed to handle pirates or rogue human factions, not an alien armada. "General alert," Ji-woo decided. "All civilians to shelters. Defense units to battle stations." Throughout Hope City, sirens began to wail. In schools and homes and offices, people looked up in confusion, then moved with practiced efficiency toward underground shelters. New Terra's disaster drills had always seemed like a waste of time to many colonists, until now. The alien ships entered orbit with frightening speed and precision. Close-range scans revealed sleek vessels of unknown design, gleaming with what appeared to be weapons ports along their hulls. "Still no response to our messages," Soo-jin reported. "Keep trying," Ji-woo said. "Different frequencies, different formats. They might not understand." The first blast came without warning. A beam of intense energy lanced down from the largest alien ship, striking Defense Platform Bravo. The station exploded in a ball of fire, killing all 50 personnel aboard. "We're under attack," Do-hyun shouted unnecessarily. "They're targeting our defense grid." Ji-woo slammed her hand down on the colony-wide emergency system. "This is Commander Park Ji-woo. We are under attack by unknown forces. This is not a drill. All defense units respond with full force." New Terra's orbital defense platforms opened fire, sending missiles and energy beams toward the alien vessels. A few found their targets, creating small explosions against the hulls of the smaller ships, but the larger vessels seemed protected by some kind of energy shield technology. The aliens, the Concordium Alliance, though Ji-woo wouldn't learn that name until later, responded with overwhelming force. Their weapons systematically targeted defense platforms, communication arrays, and spaceports. "We need to evacuate as many people as possible," Ji-woo ordered. "Get all available ships ready for launch." Do-hyun looked up from his console, his face pale. "The main spaceport is gone, Commander. They hit it first." On the emergency channels, reports flooded in from across the colony. The alien ships had begun targeting population centers, their weapons slicing through buildings with surgical precision. The death toll was already in the thousands and climbing rapidly. "We have to get a message to Earth," Ji-woo said. "They need to know what's happening here." The backup communication array was still operational, hidden beneath the northern mountains. Ji-woo recorded a brief message, attaching all the sensor data they had gathered about the attack. "This is Commander Park Ji-woo of New Terra Colony. We are under attack by unknown alien forces. Massive casualties. No provocation or communication from attackers. Sending all available data. If anyone receives this message, please forward to Earth immediately. They must be warned." As Defense Station Alpha shuddered under direct fire, Ji-woo made a difficult decision. "We need to evacuate. This station is going to fall, and we need to preserve what we know about the attackers." The council hall was a vast chamber with walls of some crystalline material that shifted colors subtly. The full Concordium High Council, 12 members in silver robes, sat in a semicircle facing the human delegation. Ji-woo stood before them, feeling the weight of 2 million dead on her shoulders. Behind her, Lieutenant Choi operated a holographic projector they had brought. "You believe yourselves to be the pinnacle of evolution," Ji-woo began. "You've categorized all intelligent species according to your models. And when you encountered humans, you found us. Unexpected." The hologram activated, showing DNA sequences, evolutionary trees, and planetary development patterns. "Our scientists have analyzed your models," Ji-woo continued. "They are elegant but incomplete. Life develops along multiple valid paths, not just the one you recognize. Humans aren't aberrations. We're simply different." One of the council members leaned forward. "If this is correct, our entire philosophical framework would need revision." "Yes," Ji-woo said simply. "And 2 million innocent people paid with their lives for your flawed understanding." She nodded to Choi, who changed the hologram to show the human fleet in orbit. "We could destroy your civilization as you destroyed our colony. Our weapons are targeting every major population center on your world right now." A murmur ran through the council. "But we choose a different path," Ji-woo continued. "Admiral Kang Ta-won offers these terms. First, reparations for New Terra. You will provide resources and assistance to rebuild what you've destroyed. Second, acknowledgement of human sovereignty and our right to exist. Third, integration into the galactic community as equals, not aberrations." Supreme Counselor Zar's multifaceted eyes fixed on Ji-woo. "And if we refuse?" Ji-woo's voice was cold. "Then Admiral Kang will demonstrate why attacking humanity was your species' greatest mistake." The council withdrew to deliberate, leaving the human delegation alone in the chamber. Hours passed. Ji-woo paced nervously, wondering if she had pushed too hard. "They're returning," Choi announced as the chamber doors reopened. Zar and the council filed back in, their postures subdued. "We have studied your evidence," the Supreme Counselor said. "It appears our understanding was incomplete. The destruction of your colony was based on a fundamental error in our evolutionary models." Ji-woo waited, not trusting herself to speak. "We accept your terms," Zar continued. "We will provide reparations for New Terra. We acknowledge humanity's right to exist and develop according to its own path, and we welcome you as equals in the greater community of intelligent species." The tension in Ji-woo's shoulders eased slightly. "We will need more than words. A formal treaty will be required, with verification measures." "Of course," Zar agreed. "We propose the formation of a new interspecies council, with humans and Concordium as founding members. Other species in our sphere could join over time." When Ji-woo returned to the Vengeance, she found Admiral Kang waiting in the shuttle bay. "They accepted all terms," she reported, "and proposed a new interspecies council as a framework for future relations." Kang nodded, satisfaction evident in his eyes. "Then we have achieved something greater than revenge. We have changed the course of galactic history." In the weeks that followed, the foundation for the new council was laid. The Concordium provided star charts revealing dozens of other intelligent species they had contacted. Some they had guided, others they had suppressed for not fitting their models. Admiral Kang chose to leave half the human fleet in Concordium space as a reminder of Earth's power. The rest began the long journey home, carrying news of their victory and the peace they had secured. Before departing, Ji-woo requested one final mission. With Admiral Kang's approval, she led a small group of ships back to the ruins of New Terra. There, in orbit above the devastated world, she made a solemn promise. "We will rebuild," she said, looking down at the planet that had been her home. "Not just the buildings and infrastructure, but something better. A colony that represents the best of humanity and stands as a symbol of our place in the galaxy." 1 year later, the first construction ships arrived at New Terra. Commander Park Ji-woo, now Governor Park, stood on the bridge of the lead vessel as it entered orbit. "Begin landing operations," she ordered. "We have work to do." Admiral Kang nodded, his eyes fixed on the stars ahead. "And they will have a very rude awakening." Retrieve, the massive human fleet, moved through the darkness between stars. 600,000 ships traveling in perfect formation, their engines burning with blue-white fire. The journey from Earth to Concordium space would take 3 months, even with their fastest hyperdrives. On the bridge of the flagship TDF Vengeance, Admiral Kang Ta-won studied the tactical displays. The ship hummed with quiet activity as crew members monitored systems and prepared for the battles ahead. "Admiral, Commander Park Ji-woo is here as requested," announced Lieutenant Oh Da-bin. Ji-woo entered the bridge, carrying a data tablet. In the weeks since leaving Earth, she had worked constantly, analyzing everything known about the Concordium Alliance. The dark circles under her eyes showed her exhaustion, but her gaze remained sharp and focused. "You have something to report?" Kang asked. Ji-woo nodded. "We've mapped likely Concordium outposts based on the data recovered from New Terra. There's a small monitoring station in the Proxima system. It would make a good first target." Kang studied the information on her tablet. "Minimal defenses. Based on our analysis, yes. It appears to be primarily a science and communications facility. Taking it intact could give us valuable intelligence." The Admiral considered this a good test of our capabilities against their technology without risking the main fleet. 2 days later, a small battle group of 50 human ships approached the Proxima system. Captain Naun Hyunwoo commanded the operation from the cruiser Swift Justice. "Sensors detect 5 Concordium vessels in orbit around the 4th planet," reported his sensor officer. "They haven't reacted to our presence yet." Hyunwoo smiled grimly. "Good. Let's introduce ourselves." The human ships accelerated toward the planet. When they came within range, the Concordium finally noticed them. The alien vessels moved to intercept, their sleek, crystalline hulls glinting in the light of the system's red dwarf star. "They're scanning us," the communications officer said. Still no attempt at communication. "They didn't talk to New Terra either," Hyunwoo replied. "They don't see us as worth talking to. Target their engines and weapons. I want at least 1 ship captured intact." The battle was brief but instructive. The Concordium ships had advanced energy shields that absorbed the first volley of human missiles. Their return fire was devastatingly precise, slicing through the hull of 2 human destroyers. But the humans had numbers and a burning desire for revenge. The Swift Justice took heavy damage to its forward sections, but managed to disable 2 Concordium vessels. The remaining alien ships were surrounded and destroyed. "Boarding teams to the disabled ships," Hyunwoo ordered. "Science teams to the surface facility. I want every piece of data they have." The information recovered was transmitted back to the main fleet. On the Vengeance, Commander Ji-woo studied it with growing excitement. "This changes everything," she told Admiral Kang. "The Concordium's technology is advanced, but not incomprehensibly so. Their ships have weaknesses we can exploit." The fleet continued its journey, encountering and overwhelming small Concordium outposts. With each engagement, they learned more about their enemy and tested new tactics. At a captured communication relay, they made their most important discovery yet. Lieutenant Choi Min-soo, the fleet's top linguist, had been working to decode Concordium transmissions. He requested an urgent meeting with Admiral Kang and Commander Ji-woo. "I've managed to translate significant portions of their internal communications," Min-soo explained, displaying text on the briefing room screen, and I found something disturbing about why they attacked New Terra. Ji Woo leaned forward. "Tell us." Min Su pointed to sections of text. The Concordium sees themselves as the perfect result of evolution. They've categorized all intelligent species they've encountered, and they believe there's a standard pattern to how life should develop. Humans don't fit their model. They destroyed our colony because we're different. Kang asked, his voice tight with anger. "They call us evolutionary aberrations," Min Su confirmed. "According to their philosophy, species that develop along unexpected lines are inherently dangerous and must be eliminated before they can spread." Ji Woo's hands clenched into fists. 2 million people dead because we didn't evolve the way they thought we should. The information spread throughout the fleet, adding fuel to humanity's determination. They were no longer just fighting for revenge, but for their right to exist.